Well, hello and welcome to Second Avenue. My name is John Lindsay and I've been involved with Second Avenue and its possible reconstruction now for several years, along with a number of other citizens and residents of Greater Sudbury, and specifically those here in the Meadow Lake area. It's around 5 o'clock, just a couple of minutes past 5 on a quite warm February, the 22nd of 2017. And most of the information on Second Avenue and what's been going on with respect to the reconstruction is contained on our website, which is minerallake.ca. But for those of you who don't want to go through all the information that's on the website, we're here with you to give a brief description of what's been going on here for the past several years. The city called a special meeting back in 2014 for residents in the area and all citizens to take a look at plans for the expansion of Second Avenue, to create a new roadway and a new intersection. And we're at that intersection right now, which is the intersection of Scarlet. You can see a truck here coming out of Scarlet and another vehicle going into Scarlet off of Second Avenue. The proposal was to create a new intersection here, which would also tie in with an intersection to the Civic Cemetery and also the dog park area, which would be directly opposite the entrance to Scarlet. Now, what we're doing here on this particular day is to show traffic for this half-hour period, say from 5 to 5:30. We've done previous recordings back in 2015 and 2016 at different times, I believe from 4 to 4:30 and from 4:30 to 5, but it was suggested we do the heavy period, or what some people call the heavy period of traffic, which is from around 5 o'clock to 5:30. So we're doing this half-hour video at this time for dual purpose, to show the traffic and also to bring you up to date. Now, the city prepared what they call a project file. This is a look at the project file. The project file is really a description of the work that's to take place. Now, when the city presented their information session, a number of people came out and were rather concerned about the fact that the present 2-lane road was to be expanded throughout a significant portion to 5 lanes. And there was some question is, why 5 lanes? And really, we didn't really receive what many people considered to be a satisfactory answer. Indeed, one of the individuals who is a counselor for the area, Lynn Reynolds, an old friend, had some questions, and she wondered why, when the city came out with this plan, they said the plan is pretty much the way it is. It's not going to change that much. And she wondered why, and I quote, "The plan is not to change significantly at this point," according to what the city said, and she wondered why. She also wondered, is Second Avenue really that busy? Well, we're right here during the busy period, apparently, from 5 until 5:30, with traffic going up and down Second Avenue. And she also wondered why 5 lanes? Wouldn't 3 lanes be sufficient? Traffic lane in each direction and a turning lane. And why an intersection, this intersection here, why was it going to be at one point 7 lanes across? One of the largest intersections in the city. So these are some of the questions. And with respect to the plan, there is an opportunity for individuals to request to the Ministry of the Environment and Climate Change concerns that they may have with respect to the effect on the environment. Now, some of these concerns were, first of all, the effect of additional road surface and pollutants such as salt that would be deposited on the expanded road surface and would enter the watershed and into Lake Ramsey, which, as we know, about 60,000 of our citizens drink the water out of Lake Ramsey, and the salt level is already significantly higher than provincial standards, enough so that the health unit has been advised of the significant increase in salt in Lake Ramsey. So the opportunity was there to apply to the Ministry of the Environment about that concern. Also concerns with respect to noise, with respect to proximity to social housing in the area, with respect to the fact that really this 5 lanes is not going to be too terribly attractive going through an area which has a lot of social housing, a lot of young people, and a lot of older people as well too. So what happened is these concerns were expressed to the ministry, but they were not addressed. They were not addressed. And the reason why is because the city had not completed their plan properly. So the ministry said we cannot listen to the concerns of the citizens because the plan has not been completed properly. So it went back to the city, and the city had certain conditions. Some of the deficiencies were explained to the city, and the city came back with another plan about a year later. Don't forget this is 2014, so then it came back a year later, and once again some of the same concerns were not addressed to the satisfaction of many residents and citizen groups. The first time around, about 3 individuals or groups had applied to the ministry and said we're not satisfied with the report. This time around, for the second go around, when the city completed their second plan, 7 groups and individuals applied to the ministry saying that they weren't satisfied. And again, the ministry said, well, we can't listen to your concerns because the plan is still not complete. So for the second time, the ministry went back to the city saying, you gotta answer some of our concerns. There were, I think, 16 concerns that were expressed by the ministry to the city. So then back it went again, and for the 3rd time, the city came up with a plan which was presented, and again, citizens were concerned, and again, it went the whole route again. Now this time, the ministry said, well, it looks like the plan is pretty much complete. However, there are certain concerns that we would like to have addressed. Now, before the work could go ahead. Now the question is, what were these particular concerns? And these were addressed to the city, and of course to those people who had made submissions to the Ministry of the Environment and Climate Change. They also received a copy as well too. So a letter went from the ministry on January the 20th to Mr. Rob Rocca, project manager for this route for Second Avenue. And it said that the city shall consider additional mitigation and best management practices to reduce potential road salt impacts, and to create a risk management plan for the project's road salt application prior to the operation. In other words, prior to the project going ahead. That was one of the conditions. So the road is not going to be built until at least that condition is satisfied. And one other, and this is perhaps more important, the city shall develop a traffic safety plan for the project prior to operation. The traffic safety plan shall include traffic and pedestrian safety mitigation measures that will be considered but not limited to signage, timing of traffic signals, and calming measures such as streetscaping. And the city must consult with interested persons, including the requesters, that's the people who had made application to the city or to the Ministry of the Environment concerned with the city's plans. So they have to consult, the city has to consult with citizens with respect to a safety plan. Now some of the concerns raised here, and this is what we want to bring up. First of all, with respect to salt, we know if the road is enlarged from 5 or from 2 lanes to 5 lanes along a significant section, more road salt is going to be required to keep the road safe during the wintertime. Now the question is, how are you going to handle that additional salt that's placed on the road? As many of you know, there's no way to treat salt, at least not cost effectively. So the question sort of begs itself, is that if you make the road wider and you put more salt down, How do you handle that additional salt? How do you keep it from going into the watershed and eventually into Lake Ramsey? Very good question. We're waiting for an answer to that, and indeed the ministry is as well too. And the other concern is with respect to safety. How much safer is 5 lanes over 2 lanes, and how much safer is an intersection that's as large as most of the major route intersections in Sudbury? In other words, as large as the intersection on Paris Street at Tom Davies Square, or on Falconbridge Road, or any of the large 4 and 5 lane roads in town. This would be the same size of intersection that would be right here, which you can see here now. And as I said, the purpose of this recording for this period of time is to take a look. We've been here for approximately almost 10 minutes now, and we're looking at supposedly the heaviest traffic that ever utilizes this particular roadway. In other words, Second Avenue, and the heavy traffic that's proceeding up and down, which many people have said it really isn't that busy. Now, one of the other interesting concerns is we can see this intersection here. This is the intersection of Scarlet. This intersection, according to provincial warrants, now a warrant is really a requirement for a traffic light. Warrants have to be of a certain significance. In other words, there has to be a certain amount of traffic coming out of an intersection to warrant a traffic light under provincial standards. Now, the city can go ahead and put in a traffic light if they wish, but nevertheless, it doesn't really meet the provincial standards, which could be a cost factor as well, too. As we're taking a look here now, for those, and as I said, this is the 3rd time we've done this, 3 half-hour sessions that we've looked at traffic on Second Avenue. We've looked at traffic coming out of Scarlet, and we have absolutely no objection to improvements to this roadway. We think that the roadway intersection with Scarlet, and also coming across into the cemetery area and also the new dog park area, makes a great degree of sense. We had proposed, a number of us that had looked at the situation quite a bit, and also based on the city's understanding of a roundabout, that a roundabout might be an interesting development for this particular intersection, because it would mean that the traffic would not have to stop, but there would be the opportunity to slow down the traffic, an opportunity to still service the home hardware and the other businesses in the small mall, that would reduce stop and go traffic, which would mean that you wouldn't have the same contamination of exhaust fumes, you wouldn't have the same noise level. And the city recognizes that in the plan, that roundabout would be a good idea, but they say it's not possible because there needs to be 5 lanes. Therefore, it would require a 2-lane roundabout and not enough space, because they'd have to take city property for that. Well, the fact is, we're on city property right now, which is the cemetery property, which is city property. Across the street, next to Scarlet, that's also city property. So you'd be only using, even if you did need a 2-lane roundabout, which a 2-lane roundabout handles up to 45,000 vehicles per day. A single-lane roundabout handles 25,000. The city's estimate for this roadway is 15,000 vehicles a day. Now, we're wondering if that is indeed the actual count, because according to some individuals, the count on this roadway was made while construction was occurring on Second Avenue, and therefore there was more traffic using the Bellevue, Bancroft, Howe corridor and going up Second Avenue to avoid the Kingsway. What is the present traffic count? We do not have those figures. We know that according to the Master Transportation Plan, a lot of the figures in that plan were done back in 2005, and of course it's 2017. The city also said that growth is a big problem. We have to increase our roadway to handle additional growth. Well, the latest reports from the Ontario Minister of Finance say there's going to be no growth take place in Sudbury, no growth until 2041, and maybe not even then. It's possible that our city may actually experience decline. Also in this area, there has been new housing development. We have other arteries that lead up to the Kingsway and down to the Bellevue, Bancroft, Howe corridor. These, of course, are Levesque and Moonlight, and also Bancroft itself that goes up to the Kingsway. So a lot of these arguments have been put forward. They have been basically dismissed by the city that have stuck to their original plan. Now, once again, those two conditions that have been put on this particular project, the conditions that have been put on the project by the Ministry of the Environment, have to deal with salt. How is the city going to handle the additional salt that's going to be placed on this roadway if it is enlarged to the extent that the city wishes? That's one of the main concerns. And also, how is it going to be safer? How is it going to be safer if individuals, especially if they build the new seniors residence, which is planned for just up the street here, how are seniors going to cross 7 lanes of traffic safely? These are all questions that we're going to have to discuss with the city if they discuss it with us, because we're still waiting for the consultation period to take place. As I say, this is February. The notice, well, it's almost been a month now. It's January 20th since the city, Bob Rocca, the project manager for the city for this project, got this particular letter from the Ministry of the Environment. Here it is. It's the 22nd of February. And we're here on a fairly nice February day. We've had a warm spell for about a week now, and took this opportunity to come out and record the traffic during this busy time along the Second Avenue corridor. So it's been a month now, and several of the requesters have approached the city asking for the consultation. No reply from the city as yet. And it's the city's responsibility, and the Ministry of the Environment has said that the project cannot go ahead until this consultation takes place. We want to stress very definitively here that we do not want to hold up this project. We realize that people, because the road is falling apart, as are most roads in Sudbury, we would really like to see this project take place. But we want to make sure that it takes place, that it's safe, the roadway is safe, that it is environmentally friendly, that it's not putting more salt into the environment, it's not creating additional noise, it's not creating additional speed. Indeed, when the first plan came out and was looking at the roadway in 5 lanes, the city's panel that looks at transportation wondered, how are you going to keep the traffic going slower on 5 lanes as compared to what it's going now? Because interestingly enough, we have no speeding basically on Second Avenue as it exists right now. We really do have traffic calming because it's basically only 2 lanes. And you just see the bus go by there now. And we see traffic coming out of Scarlet. Now, both this video and the other videos that we've posted showing traffic here, the city has, well, we haven't seen any video on behalf of the city. We're in the entrance right now to the dog park area, which will be enlarged under the plan, or basically any plan we hope that goes ahead, which will include entrance to the cemetery. So if this was to be a roundabout, we'd know that there'd be no dangerous left-hand turns. Sudbury has 30,000 senior citizens. Making a left-hand turn is the most dangerous thing you could do at an intersection. If it were a roundabout, there are no left-hand turns. There have been no roundabout fatalities that we know of anywhere in Canada with a roundabout or into the United States. Extremely rare because of the fact there are no T-bone accidents, only sideswipe accidents, if that, in a roundabout. So that is a consideration, but basically the Ministry of the Environment did not enforce the roundabout solution. They did say safety, but safety could be a roundabout as well too. So the option is still open. The option is still a possibility. We can see a truck here now that's going out into the traffic and one that's coming in here. And this is, I said, we're recording hopefully to determine the extent of the rush hour traffic that's taking place along Second Avenue from this period between, well, around 5 o'clock to approximately 5:30. We're almost through our recording time here now, doing this half-hour study, and we recognize that this intersection does need to be improved. It definitely. The roadway needs to be improved. There's other improvements along the route. This area here has 2 schools. Approximately, we understand, between 50 and 100 kids walk to school along Second Avenue. So there's a safety concern. We want to make sure that it's safe for pedestrians. young and old, and also for bicycle riders. Now the city in their original plan said, we still want to keep the 5 lanes, but we will give you cycle tracks. What's a cycle track? A cycle track is basically the paved boulevard between the roadway and the sidewalk, which really is giving you what's already there. We would like to see, of course, any cycling facility to be off the road, which is preferred. We have cycle lanes along the Bellevue-Bancroft-Howie corridor for about 10 years now. They've been very, very successful. And they could be used here as well too. But it's better if we have the space, and we will have the space if we don't have the 5 lanes. If we had, let's say, 3 lanes, that would be 1 traffic lane each direction, and also a turning lane. That would leave plenty of space for an off-road bicycle track, either on the boulevard area or completely separate from the sidewalk on each side of the road. So it's possible to accommodate both the motor vehicles, cyclists, and pedestrians on this particular section of roadway. So reviewing very quickly. The project file has been returned by the Ministry of the Environment on 3 separate occasions to the city, and this took place because the project file was not complete. And the concerns of the individuals, these are groups and other individuals, primarily environmental groups and other individuals concerned with the environment, concerned about the neighborhoods, concerned about the residents who live here. As I mentioned, this is an area with many who are socially and economically disadvantaged, social housing, but there's other housing in the area as well. There are commercial properties in the area. We have playgrounds in the area. We have the dog park in the area. As I mentioned, 2 schools, 1 elementary public, one elementary separate school in the area. And it's a community that deserves respect, it deserves consideration, doesn't just deserve to be a corridor for traffic alone. And I believe we can sort of close up here with a quote from Councillor Reynolds, which she sent to the media just a couple of years ago when this whole exercise began. She said, "I would like to see us move with sensitivity to people, not just to cars, towards keeping our neighborhoods from becoming massive traffic corridors. We can do this by using long-term vision, by examining the best practices of other cities in Ontario." And that's what we have attempted to do, many of us involved in this particular project. Now, many people have been concerned that the project has not moved ahead, and we likewise as well too. But we would like to emphasize that our concerns that were expressed on behalf of those individuals and groups, and in total 7 altogether for the last expression of concerns with respect to the city's project file, these concerns were not considered because the city had not completed the project file properly. In other words, they hadn't done, to put it bluntly, they hadn't done their job properly. So if any delays have taken place, it's not been on the fault or the responsibility of those people who have expressed concerns with respect to the environment. It's the responsibility of citizens, and that's why the provision is there, allowing citizens to express concerns with respect to any development that occurs in the city for large projects. This is a large project. Anywhere would start off around $5 million, now it's up to $7 million, some people say. Could possibly be less if the road was not to be made so expansive. So that's the situation. We just wanted to give you the opportunity to hear, rather than just to read the report that's on our website, which is minerallake.ca. So there we've taken a look at it. We're just about through our half hour of viewing. We hope you've had the chance to take a look at the traffic that's passed by here. You've probably noticed there's been gaps in the traffic, and the reason that is because at both the stoplight north of here at Donna Drive and also south of here, the stoplight at the corner of Second Avenue and Bancroft Drive, these stoplights provide the opportunity to hold up the traffic for a period of time. So the traffic moves in platoons, what they call it in terminology used by traffic engineers. The traffic moves in platoons and with spaces in between, which was one of the reasons that we felt that the roundabout would be ideal, because These spaces give the opportunity for vehicles to enter from the other points of the roundabout. So the traffic really never stops. The opportunity for at least coming in from the other ends of off of Second Avenue, say from Scarlet and from the dog park and the cemetery area, there's gaps in the traffic that allow that to occur at periods which should be less than probably an ordinary stoplight. And one of the other things we're concerned about, if the large intersection is put in, which is 7 lanes across on the north side, this means that both young people and older people have to cross 7 lanes of traffic, the same space, the same distance as you would in some of the large intersections downtown. 7 lanes for young people and older people in a residential section. This appears to be a little too much in our opinion. That's just an outline. We hope we've answered some of your questions. If you have any concerns, of course, you can simply get in touch with us through our website. That's minerallake.ca, and all the information is there. Thank you very much for taking this look here, the dual purpose for us to explain what's happened, and also for you to have a look at the traffic here during the rush hour, 5 until 5:30 on this February afternoon. Thanks very much for taking a look. Goodbye for now.